don't think it comes as a surprise to anybody that has viewed this channel in the past that I am a fan of my Nintendo Switch. It is probably the console I've talked about the most on this channel, and rightfully so. I think it's a fantastic console, a wonderful handheld, and it plays a lot of excellent games. What's going on, everybody? I'm Jay. Welcome to Square Pegs. So glad you're here. That's a pretty damn cool number up there, isn't it? We got 5 figures up there for subscribers now. Welcome to all the new subscribers. I'm so glad you guys are here. Today we are talking about 10 games on the Nintendo Switch you might have overlooked. And yeah, while I usually do talk about eShop hidden gems on this video, I don't want to say that this is a hidden gems video. This is just a physical releases you might have missed. I mean, Lord knows there's a lot of Switch games out there. I've got a pretty darn good collection. I'm not gonna say it's the best one in the world, but I do like what I have. So let's take a look now at 10 physical games on the Switch you might have overlooked in its 7 years on the shelves. Up first, we're starting with a series from Capcom. Now, this is one of the most popular series ever released. This is something that is played regularly, is featured prominently, and is talked about with love and adoration, and I'm talking about Monster Hunter. But I'm not talking about the core Monster Hunter series. I'm talking about Monster Hunter Stories 2.
While the fact that I don't really care for the core Monster Hunter series might actually annoy some folks, it's just something that never really connected for me, but something I really do enjoy is the Monster Hunter Stories games. Now, there have only been 2, so not a whole lot to choose from there, but both the one that released on the 3DS and its sequel here on the Switch, Monster Hunter Stories 2, are things I really like. Now, I've always appreciated Monster Hunter. I like the core designs, I like the monster creations, I think they're fantastic. It's just, I prefer a single-player experience, and single-player Monster Hunter is lacking. It's not set up to be a single-player game. But I really enjoy stories because there's a very close attention to detail as far as the storyline goes. I think the gameplay is really fun. It's a little Pokemon-esque, being able to catch and hatch the different eggs and things like that. I think the look is great. I like that I'm able to experience the different Monster Hunter designs in this game while not having to play the core series. I really think this one is great. There were 2 releases of this one. There was a standard cartridge release, as well as a release that was packaged with an amiibo, which I thought was pretty awesome. That's the one I got. If you haven't played this one, I do urge you to check it out. I think it's really fun.
Now, the Nintendo Switch is known for its ports, for its remakes, for its re-releases, and this is a re-release and a remake of a classic series from all the way back in the SNES days. This is Pocky and Rocky Reshrined.
I got really excited when I found out there was going to be a new entry in the Pocky and Rocky series, which is a series that I love, I just happen to be god-awful at. And that holds true here with Pocky and Rocky Reshrined. So this is a brand new entry. It is a completely new game in the Pocky and Rocky series, and it plays just like the classic adventures. This is a 16-bit style multi-directional shooter where you are able to fire, deflect, dodge, and collect power-ups as you go through. It's kind of a shmup. It's really cool. I just love this series. It's such a creative experience and such a well-designed title that I can't help but love it. And it holds true for every entry in the series I've played. This newest one here, Pocky and Rocky Reshrined, is just a great addition to a fantastic lineup of games. I really love this one, and this one can be found regularly on Amazon for dirt cheap. And let this be a lesson, as I've done a short on this in the past, but don't be held to be looking for something from your region. I bought this with a Peggy rating, and it cost me half the price of the US release.
I've spoken of my love of both this character and this game in particular on previous videos, but I don't think I've ever actually called out how good of a release this is, because this is a game that originally released back on the PS3 and the Xbox 360, was re-released on the PS4 and the Xbox One and the Wii U, and has now seen light again on the Nintendo Switch. And I found this on clearance at Target for like $4, and it's a brilliant game. This is Rayman Legends.
You know, I literally think that I have bought Rayman Legends 5 or 6 times now, because I had it on my PS3, I bought it for my Wii U, I had it on my Xbox One, I have it on my Switch, I have it on Steam, and I think I had it on a Vita when I owned my Vita. And you know what? I don't regret any of those purchases, because this is one of the best platformers of all time. This is Ubisoft at their absolute best. It is a stunning game to look at. It is absolutely gorgeous. The gameplay is phenomenal. Rayman is just a signature classic character, and the gameplay experiences in this game can't be matched. This is one of the best 2D platformers of all time. And like I said, this is a dirt cheap game. I literally found this at Target for under $10. I think it was under $5. And it's just a magnificent experience that I've never regretted rebuying, because it's always fun to play. 120 levels, gorgeous animations, fantastic sound, tons of unlockables. It is the gift that keeps on giving, and if it's something that you haven't played before, it's worth picking up.
Another remaster, re-released, whatever you want to call it. This was THQ Nordic picking up the scraps of what was something from 38 Studios, a game that was much loved, but needed a little TLC to clean up some of the loose ends, and that is Kingdom of Amalur: Re-Reckoning.
Listen to the pedigree behind Kingdoms of Amalur: Re-Reckoning. We have R.A. Salvatore, who has written some of the most fabled fantasy series out there. Todd McFarlane, the creator of Spawn and one of the most superstar artists of all time, an artist on Spider-Man, amongst numerous other comics. And the designer on the game was from Elder Scrolls IV Oblivion, Ken Ralston. This is a game that was initially released back on the PS3 and the Xbox 360 generation from 38 Studios, but it got picked up by THQ Nordic and re-released and cleaned up on modern consoles. This game is fantastic. It's an action RPG with a deep lore, which you would expect from someone like Salvatore, a gorgeous look, which you'd expect from someone like McFarlane, and fun gameplay, which you would expect from someone like Ralston. It's an absolutely brilliant title that didn't get its fair shake when it initially released due to some of the legal issues that 38 Studios was having. Thanks, Kurt Schilling. But this one here has all the support from THQ Nordic, and it just runs so well on the Nintendo Switch. It's a dirt cheap game, too, in most cases. This one is definitely worth picking up.
Next up, a publisher that I really love that gets a lot of, I want to say self-imposed bad press, because they say a lot of dumb crap, but I really do enjoy the games that they put out. And one of my favorites that released on the Switch is from a series that sadly died a death because they just wanted to focus on their moneymakers. And unfortunately, that's kind of the way the industry works. But this is a brilliant game. It's a little bit Zelda, it's a little bit Assassin's Creed, tons of sense of humor, fantastic gameplay. This is Immortals: Fenyx Rising.
Now, I've made no secret about my adoration of Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and I know that's kind of a polarizing thing for people that are fans of the series because a lot of folks really don't like the kind of heavy RPG elements that were introduced there, but I do. I think it's a fantastic game. And I really enjoyed the quasi-spin-off from that utilized at least portions of the same engine in Immortals: Fenyx Rising. This released in 2020, and I've said it before on the channel that 2020 was a weird time for video games because, I mean, the world had shut down and we got a lot of stranger games released. And Immortals: Fenyx Rising is one of them. It takes place in ancient Greece. You're the last hope of the gods. And where Assassin's Creed is a terribly serious game, Immortals: Fenyx Rising does not subscribe to that theory. It is decidedly tongue-in-cheek. It is very silly, very irreverent, and a ton of fun. There's a massive open world, the combat is brilliant, the graphics look good, it runs beautifully well on the Switch. It runs great everywhere, but it runs well on the Switch, which is always a nice thing to have. This is one that I think a lot of people overlooked just because of the fact that it is from Ubisoft, and they had a bad taste in their mouth left from Assassin's Creed Odyssey. But for me, this game was spectacular, and I think more people need to check it out.
All right, here's one that is a really nice compilation. I've talked about this on a collected edition Switch games in the past, but I wanted to call it out again. I think it's really cool to have both of these in one package, especially considering the fact that you get some really nice feelies as well. This is the Guacamelee 1-2 Punch Collection.
First off, anytime you can get multiple games for the price of one on one cartridge is a win. That's why I like things like the SNK collection, the Castlevania collection, the Contra collection, and this one here, the Guacamelee 1-2 Punch collection. Now, Guacamelee is something that I discovered originally back in 2007 or 2008. I don't remember exactly when it released. And I played it on Steam, and it was so up my alley. Like, I love luchadors, and I love the kind of spirit and design work in Lucha Libre. And to be able to play a kick-ass Metroidvania starring a luchador was so cool, and Juan was awesome. Now, I had never played the sequel until this Switch release, and to be able to get both games on one cartridge with awesome inserts inside, that's what I mean when I say feelies, just blew me away. I think it's an absolutely magnificent collection. Now, I know not everyone digs this game. Some people just don't like it, and I can't fault you for that. If you don't care for it, you don't care for it. There's nothing wrong with that. But for me, this is a spectacular title, and there are so many other incredible collections released on the Switch that could fill this one's spot if you prefer those. The SNK collection comes to mind. That's a spectacular one as well. But for me, Guacamelee 1-2 Punch is magnificent, and more people need to play it.
Now, it's no secret, I do love the LEGO games, and right at the start of when the Switch released, there's a game that dropped that I think a lot of people overlooked just because there was a little bit of a, let's call it a LEGO hangover from so many games being released, but this game is brilliant, and it carries forth a really, really good pedigree of the LEGO Batman series. This is LEGO DC Supervillains.
While I prefer the older LEGO games, stuff like LEGO Star Wars 3, LEGO Indiana Jones, Pirates of the Caribbean, etc., I still like the new ones. And LEGO DC Supervillains is kind of a neat gap bridging the original design work of the LEGO games to what we see now with things like LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga. Because you have a very large open world where you're able to move around and kind of go to the missions that way, as opposed to just kind of moving laterally between the different levels on a map. I really enjoy this game, and I think that this has the fantastic pedigree of the LEGO Batman series to live up to, and it nails it. There's over 270 characters to choose from right off the bat, which is fantastic, because half of the fun of the LEGO games is finding all the unlockables and all the hidden objects, and unlocking all the different stud options and things like that. But the other cool thing about this game is it actually lets you make a custom character, and they are featured in the story. You're not just shoehorned into playing the main character or the main protagonist, you actually kind of get to put your own spin on the title. I think that's really cool. It plays and controls beautifully, it looks fantastic, the sound is great, the voice acting is top-notch. Just love it. And this came out towards the start of the Switch, and I think a lot of people might have overlooked it, and that's a shame because this is a great game.
All right, from a series that I had never played until I got it on the Switch, actually, and I feel kind of bad about that because it's brilliant. This is Darksiders Genesis.
Now, I'll be honest, I don't know what the fandom thinks about Darksiders Genesis because this is the first Darksiders game I've ever played. I own the other ones, I've got them all on the Switch, but I've never booted up any of them except Genesis because this is the one I got first, and I fell in love with this game. I adore the combat. The top-down kind of hack and slash, this is like my jam. This is so in tune with things I love. It reminds me of games like Torchlight in a way, even though it's not exactly the same thing. It's kind of the first thing that pops to mind. It's a little bit Diablo, a little bit Torchlight, and it's got a slick style all its own. Being able to play as Strife or War and swap between them at any time or play co-op if you really want to is just fantastic. The gameplay is silky smooth and a lot of fun. The voice acting in the game is great. The music is wonderful. The look is stellar. This is such a great game. I can't wait to play the other ones. I actually played this for about 10 hours and then stopped when I realized that I really liked what I was seeing and decided to pick up the other ones. And I've got to get to them to play them. This game is magnificent.
From the brilliant Joe Madureira comes a fantastic RPG starring the characters from the Battle Chasers universe. This is Battle Chasers Nightwar.
When the Battle Chasers comic book launched in the 1990s, I was immediately hooked. Joe Madureira is one of my absolute favorite artists. I think he's a complete genius. One of the best artists working in comics then, now, forever. His style is just amazing. And for him to take on a sword and sorcery high fantasy comic book with steampunk elements just spoke to my inner nerd. And for this to eventually become a fantastic turn-based JRPG, oh man, this is just speaking my language. This is everything I want. Featuring the characters from the Battle Chasers comic, like Garrison, the robot Calibretto, Red Monica, and Gully, this is a game that just works. The overworld is fantastic. It's easy to explore. You can see where on the map you're going to have combat. There are different areas you're able to go into and explore in an isometric view, a little bit like Diablo. The combat is really fun and turn-based. There's lots of great characters to meet. Gorgeous artwork abounds. Fun enemies to fight. It's an awesome game. This is legitimately one of my favorites on the Switch. It's something that takes a risk and makes use of a fantastic IP that just works for video games.
All right, now I've spoken of my love of Toys to Life games in the past, and there is one in particular on the Switch that I want to call out because I honestly think it's fantastic. I think it's a brilliant game, and I think it's probably the best Star Fox game we've gotten in a long, long time. This is Starlink Battle for Atlas.
Now, I've made no secret in the past on this channel about my love of Toys to Life games. I think they're fantastic, whether it's Skylanders or LEGO Dimensions, but one that often gets overlooked is Starlink Battle for Atlas. This is a fantastic game. that so many people ignored upon its release. On the Nintendo Switch version, you can play as Fox McCloud. You get to pilot the R-Wing. And the neat thing about this game is that you're able to swap out what plane you're using or spacecraft you're using, what pilot you're using, as well as attaching weapons onto your vehicle to customize it even further. So, like in certain situations, you're going to need to use a flamethrower or an ice attack or something like that. And you're able to do that by hot swapping weapons onto your vehicle and using them in-game. The controls in the game are really awesome. The little rig that you have to use is a little bit clunky and a little bit heavy, but you also have the option to buy all of the characters and weapons digitally and use them that way. So if you aren't a fan of Toys to Life stuff, you can do it in that regard. I really enjoy this game. I think it's something pretty special, and it's something that I think a lot of people overlooked just because Toys to Life had kind of run its course by that point, and no one was really looking for something like this. But the Switch version, especially with Fox, is pretty cool.
Yeah, I call it a Star Fox game because to me it is. It has Star Fox in it on the Switch. It plays like a Star Fox game. The exploration is really awesome, and I think the graphics are spectacular. Let me know in the comments down below any physical Switch releases that you think have just been overlooked or overshadowed by other releases that need more eyes on it, because honestly, I'm always looking to pad out that collection. I'm always looking to add new things, always looking for more fantastic games. I want to thank you all for stopping by. Appreciate you all being here. It has been a whirlwind couple of weeks getting up to 10,000 subscribers, which I didn't expect to happen before my birthday in March, and here we are now, and I can't thank you guys enough for being here. We'll be doing a bit of a different kind of video for me, kind of celebrating this in a couple of weeks. I've got a community post where you can post any questions you may have answered. I kind of want to do like a little retrospective on my YouTube journey so far and talk about the people that have influenced me, the people that have helped me, and answer any of your questions you may have, whether it's about YouTube, gaming in general, or my time in the industry. So yeah, check out the community post. Let me know if you have any questions. And until next time, remember to play more games, stay square, and take care. I'll talk to you soon.